market was alive with noise, the air filled with the cries of traders, the smell of roasted meat, and the heavy footsteps of alien guards. Stalls lined the dusty street, selling everything from shining crystals to broken weapons. Slaves sat in cages, their eyes hollow and tired. People moved quickly, not daring to stare too long at anyone who looked dangerous. In the middle of this chaos, a small voice rose. It was not loud at first, but it carried a strange power. A tiny alien girl, no taller than a human's waist, climbed onto a wooden crate. Her skin was pale blue, her hair like silver threads shining under the twin suns. Her wide golden eyes looked both nervous and proud. "I can mate now," she declared, her voice cut through the noise like a blade. The market froze. Silence spread as if the wind itself had stopped. Then laughter burst out, harsh, cruel, mocking laughter that rolled through the crowd like thunder. The tiny alien stood proud. Though her legs shook, her chin lifted as if her words were law. Her small hands clenched tight against her chest. She spoke again, louder this time. "I am ready. By my people's tradition, I claim my right." Most laughed harder, shaking their heads at her foolishness. Some whispered darkly. Their eyes carried both pity and scorn. To them she was nothing more than a joke. But one figure in the crowd did not laugh. A human traveler, tall, dressed in a simple coat, paused where he stood. His eyes narrowed as he looked at the girl. He had seen many strange things in the galaxy, but this was different. His heart gave a small, uneasy beat. The alien girl's golden eyes locked onto him. For a moment, it was as if the entire market disappeared. She lifted one hand, pointing directly at him. Her voice rang clear. You are mine now." The laughter grew louder. Almost everyone turned to look at the human. Some shouted jokes. Others clapped in cruel amusement. They thought it was entertainment. To them, the human was unlucky, caught in some foolish game. The human's face tightened. He shook his head and tried to move on. He had no time for alien games, but the girl jumped down from the crate and ran straight to him. She clung to the sleeve of his coat, her voice trembling but strong. "It is the law of my people, I have declared. You cannot walk away now." The human frowned. His voice was low. "What nonsense are you talking about?" But whispers spread quickly among the crowd. Some spoke of the old bonding tradition of her kind, a law older than memory itself. If a girl declared readiness, the first male she chose became her mate. If he refused, she would be banished, perhaps even executed. The human felt the eyes of the crowd pressing on him. The mocking laughter was gone now, replaced by interest and even hunger. Some wanted to see blood, some wanted to see humiliation. The girl's tiny hands trembled as she held onto him tighter. Her golden eyes shimmered with both fear and desperate hope. The human took a deep breath. His instincts told him to walk away. Yet something in the girl's eyes stopped him. She was not playing. She was not lying. This was real. Her pride was mixed with terror, and her voice shook as she whispered, "Please, don't leave me. If you walk away, I have nothing left." The market's noise returned slowly, but now it carried a different weight. Everyone was watching, waiting. The human stood frozen, caught in a web of alien law he did not understand, and in that moment, he knew this day would not end like any other. The tiny alien girl stood proud, her declaration echoing in his mind. And though he had not spoken a word of acceptance, fate had already tied their paths together. The human froze as the tiny alien clung to his sleeve. Her small body trembled, but her grip was like iron. The crowd's laughter echoed around them, louder with every passing second. He could feel their eyes, hundreds of them, waiting to see what he would do. He pulled his arm slightly, trying to free himself. "Let go," he whispered, his voice low and sharp. But the alien girl shook her head, her golden eyes wide. "No," she said firmly. "I have chosen. You are mine now." The human's heart thudded heavily in his chest. He was no stranger to alien markets, no stranger to strange customs. But this was different. This was not a trade, not a deal. It was something older, something bound to blood and law. Around them, whispers turned into murmurs. A heavy alien with dark scales leaned close to another and hissed, "She has declared if he refuses, she will be cast out." Another replied with a cruel laugh, "Or executed depending on her clan." The words cut into the human like a blade. He looked down at the girl again. She was so small, so fragile, she barely reached his waist, yet she stood with a pride that shook him more than her trembling hands. "Why me?" he asked, his voice harsher than he meant. The alien girl lifted her chin. Because you looked at me, you did not laugh like the others. The human clenched his jaw. He wanted to say it was a mistake. He wanted to walk away. Yet the crowd pressed closer, circling them like predators scenting blood. They wanted a spectacle. They wanted to see the human choose. His instincts screamed at him to run, to push her away and vanish into the crowd. But deep inside, another voice whispered, if he did, he would be sending her to her death. Listen, kid, he muttered, trying to sound calm. I don't know your laws. I don't know your people. You've made a mistake. The girl's eyes flashed with sudden anger. It is no mistake. I have declared. I cannot take it back. If you leave, they will kill me. Her voice cracked, but her pride did not break. The human turned his head, scanning the crowd. More aliens had gathered now. A ring of faces, some laughing, some whispering, others hungry for conflict. And among them, he noticed 3 tall warriors. Their armor carried the same silver markings as the girl's hair. Their eyes glowed with fury as they pushed through the crowd. The human's stomach tightened. He didn't need an explanation to know who they were. Clan enforcers, protectors of tradition, enforcers of law. They were here for her. The girl saw them too. Her small hands dug deeper into his sleeve. Don't let them take me, she whispered, her voice trembling now. Please. The human exhaled slowly. His mind raced. He had 2 choices. Walk away and let them take her, or stand and risk becoming part of a fight that was not his. The enforcers stopped a few steps away, their voices deep and commanding. Human, one growled. She has declared. Accept her, or leave her to her fate. Do not delay. The crowd fell silent again. All eyes were on him. The tiny alien girl pressed against his side, her golden eyes begging. Her prideful words from before still rang in his ears. I can mate now. The human's throat went dry. He had faced battles before, but this felt heavier than any fight. It was not a blade pointed at his chest. It was choice, and choice carried weight heavier than steel. I never asked for this, he said quietly. His words trembled as he looked at the girl. Her eyes shimmered, tears forming but refusing to fall. And I never asked to live, she whispered. But now I must. And you are my only chance. The human's heart tightened painfully. He had not expected this. He had not expected her declaration to become his burden. Yet here he was, a stranger caught in the storm of an alien law. The crowd leaned closer. The enforcers raised their weapons slightly, waiting. The human felt the world closing in. His mind screamed at him to choose quickly. His body stood frozen. The human stood frozen as the 3 armored enforcers closed in. Their silver-marked armor caught the light of the twin suns, gleaming like blades. The crowd stepped back, but their eyes never left the scene. Everyone knew what was about to happen. One of the enforcers raised his clawed hand, pointing at the girl. His voice thundered. She has spoken. She has declared. The law must be obeyed. The human's chest tightened. He had heard whispers of alien traditions before, but never had he been trapped in one like this. He tried to speak, but the girl's trembling voice cut through his thoughts. If you leave, I am already dead, she whispered. Her golden eyes burned with both fear and stubborn pride. The human knelt slightly, meeting her gaze. Tell me, he demanded softly, what is this law? Why me? The girl's lips trembled, but she spoke. Her words carried the weight of generations. My people follow the rite of bonding. When a girl is ready to claim her place in the clan, she declares her readiness before the stars. The first male she calls is bound to her. If he accepts, she becomes honored. If he refuses, she is cast out, shamed, or killed. The human blinked in disbelief. He shook his head. That's madness. But the enforcers growled in unison. It is not madness. It is tradition older than the sky itself. It is our honor, our survival. The girl gripped his coat tighter. You do not understand. If you walk away, I lose everything. My clan will mark me as unworthy. I will be no one. I will be nothing. Her small voice cracked, but her pride did not falter. The human swallowed hard. His mind raced. This was not his world, not his law, yet the weight of her words pressed on him like chains. He looked at the enforcers, their glowing eyes daring him to defy them. He looked back at the girl, her small frame shaking, but her eyes holding desperate fire. Why me? That he asked again. His voice carried both frustration and confusion. The girl lifted her chin, her voice steady. Because you looked at me, you saw me, no one else did. In that moment I chose, and by the law, it cannot be undone. The human's stomach turned. He wanted to shout at the absurdity of it all. He wanted to walk away, yet every fiber of his being told him that if he left, the little alien girl would never survive. The enforcers stepped closer, their voices cold. Human, you cannot stand in between. Accept her or leave her to her fate. Do not delay. The clan watches. The crowd murmured in agreement. Some aliens leaned forward, eager to see blood. Others whispered pity for the girl. A few even looked at the human with curiosity, wondering if he would dare to stand against an entire tradition. The human clenched his fists. He had fought many battles in his life, but this was different. This was not about weapons. This was about choice, about the life of a child who had placed everything on his shoulders. The girl whispered again, her voice soft. You are human. I know your kind does not follow our law, but if you leave, they will not forgive. They will kill me to keep their honor. Please, don't let me die. The human's throat went dry. He saw the truth in her eyes. There was no trick, no game. This was real. Her life depended on him. A stranger, a man who had simply walked through a market, now carried her fate in his hands. One of the enforcers slammed his staff onto the ground. The sound echoed like thunder. Choose, human. The law of her people demands it. The human's chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. His mind screamed for escape, but his heart refused. He could not walk away. He could not leave her. Yet he could not say yes, not yet. And so he stood there, silent, caught between two worlds, one of his freedom and one of her survival. A tiny alien girl pressed closer, her voice a whisper only he could hear. Please, even if you don't accept me yet, don't let them take me away. The human did not answer. His silence was dangerous. The crowd leaned in, waiting for his choice. The enforcers glared at him, their hands tight on their weapons. The tiny alien girl pressed against him, her golden eyes begging for hope. Then the human made his decision, not with words, but with action. He pulled the girl behind him, and without warning, he pushed through the crowd. The enforcers roared, their armor clashed as they surged forward. The market exploded into chaos. Aliens scattered, stalls toppled, cages rattled as frightened slaves cried out. The human dragged the girl into a narrow alley. His boots pounded the stone ground. Every muscle in his body burned with urgency. The girl gasped, trying to keep up, but her legs were too small. He scooped her into his arms and kept running. Behind them, the heavy footsteps of armored enforcers thundered closer. Their shouts echoed, "Do not let them escape. Catch the human." The alley split into two paths. The human did not hesitate. He chose the darker one, weaving past broken barrels and hanging cloth. The stench of rotten food filled the air. Still, he did not stop. The girl clung to his coat, her silver hair brushing his chest. "They will not give up," she whispered. Her voice trembled. "Once the right is declared, they chase until either the bond is accepted or the girl is dead." The human gritted his teeth. "Then we just have to stay alive," he muttered. His heart pounded like war drums. The enforcers crashed into the alley behind them. Their glowing eyes burned in the shadows. Weapons sparked as they scraped against the walls. The sound of pursuit was deafening. The human turned a corner, but the path ended in a dead wall. He cursed under his breath. His eyes scanned wildly for an escape. That's when the girl tugged at his sleeve and pointed. "There," she gasped. A narrow crack between two buildings. Small enough for her, but barely wide enough for him. Without thinking, he pushed her inside first. She crawled through with surprising speed. He forced himself through next, the stone scraping his shoulders. The enforcers roared behind them. Their heavy armor could not fit through. Their shouts shook the walls. "Find another way! Do not let them escape!" The human and the girl stumbled out into another street, this one quieter, filled with abandoned stalls and broken lanterns. For a brief moment, there was silence except for their ragged breaths. The human bent down, placing the girl back on her feet. His voice was sharp. "Why didn't you warn me about this sooner?" The girl's eyes shimmered, guilt mixing with fear. "Because I thought, maybe you would accept. Maybe they would not chase if you chose quickly." The human sighed heavily. His anger melted into tiredness. He looked at her tiny frame, her trembling hands, her golden eyes filled with sorrow. "Kid, you've pulled me into something I don't understand," he said quietly, "but I won't let them kill you." Before she could answer, the sound of armored footsteps returned, louder this time. They were closing in from all sides. The girl grabbed his hand and pulled him toward a hidden stairway that led underground. "This way," she whispered urgently. "I know the tunnels. They cannot follow there." They descended into darkness. The air was damp and cold. The tunnel walls dripped with moisture. Their footsteps echoed. The human's heart never slowed. He knew the enforcers would not stop. The girl whispered as they ran. "You should have left me. Now they will hunt you too. My clan will not forgive this." The human shook his head, his voice low and steady. "I've been hunted before. I've survived worse. What matters now is keeping you alive." Her small fingers tightened around his. For the first time, her prideful mask dunned. Ka cracked and tears slid down her cheeks. She did not cry loudly, but the human felt the weight of every tear. The tunnels stretched on like the veins of a dying beast. Damp air filled the human's lungs. Each breath was heavy. Each step echoed like a warning. The girl's small hand never left his, her grip tight, almost desperate. Behind them, faint voices roared through the stone passages. The enforcers were still searching. Their glowing eyes and heavy armor slowed them, but they would not stop. The human knew it. The girl knew it too. "Keep moving," the human muttered. His voice was low but firm. The girl nodded quickly, guiding him through narrow turns. She seemed to know the way, as if the tunnels were carved into her memory. At last, the passage widened. A dim light filtered in from above. A broken grate led to the surface. The girl pointed up. "There, we can get out." The human lifted her first, pushing her small body through the narrow gap. She wriggled and pulled herself out. Her golden eyes peered down, filled with urgency. "Hurry before they find us." He climbed after her. His broad shoulders scraped the metal, but with one final push, he emerged into the open. They were no longer in the market. Instead, they stood in the ruins of an old courtyard. The air was colder here, the walls cracked, vines crawling across stone. For a moment, silence wrapped around them. The girl's chest rose and fell as she gasped for breath. The human leaned against a broken wall, sweat dripping from his brow. But peace never lasted. The sound of boots thundered nearby. The enforcers had found another way. They were closing in again. The human clenched his jaw. His eyes darted around, searching for escape routes. Only one stood out. An old archway leading deeper into the ruins. Beyond it, shadows stretched into the unknown. "We go there," he said firmly. The girl hesitated, her eyes wide. "That place. It is forbidden." The human gave a grim smile. "Then it's perfect. They won't fall low easily." He grabbed her hand again, pulling her toward the archway. The stones beneath their feet were cracked, dust rising with every step. The ruins whispered of a forgotten past. Carvings etched into the walls told stories the human could not read. Behind them, the sound of armored pursuit grew louder, closer, stronger. The girl stumbled but kept running. Her silver hair shimmered in the faint light. Her voice broke through the silence. "Why are you helping me? You could have left me. You should have." The human's eyes hardened. "Because I've seen enough death, and I won't watch you die too." Her steps faltered for a moment. Her golden eyes widened as if she was hearing something she had never heard before. She whispered, "No one has ever said that to me." The human pulled her along, not slowing. "Get used to it, kid." The ruins opened into a vast chamber. Broken pillars jutted out like jagged teeth. At the far end, a collapsed wall revealed the night sky. Freedom was close, but freedom never came easy. From the shadows, two enforcers emerged, their glowing eyes fixed on the pair. Their weapons crackled with deadly energy. The girl gasped and clung to the human's side. Fear shook her body. The human pushed her behind him. His voice was low but steady. "Stay down." The enforcers moved in, confident and merciless. But the human was not unprepared. His hand slipped under his coat, pulling out a small plasma knife. The blade hummed with faint light. The first enforcer lunged. The human sidestepped, slashing the weapon arm. Sparks lit the chamber. The second enforcer roared and swung his staff. The human blocked, the force jolting through his bones. The fight was brutal, fast and desperate. The human moved with precision, using speed instead of strength. His knife struck again and again. His heart pounded. Every second felt stolen. At last, one enforcer fell, his armor sparking. The second staggered back, wounded but still alive. He hissed a warning. "You cannot run forever, human. The clan will never forgive." The night air was sharp and cold. The stars above burned bright like countless eyes watching from the heavens. The human and the tiny alien girl moved quietly through the broken outskirts of the city. Each step was heavy with exhaustion, but neither dared to stop for long. The girl clung to his hand as if letting go would mean the end. Her silver hair shimmered in the moonlight. Her golden eyes glistened with fear, but also with something new. Trust. The human glanced at her and sighed. We can't keep running like this forever. She slowed her steps, looking up at him. Then what will you do? Her voice was soft, trembling but curious. The human stopped beside a crumbling wall, his back pressed against the cold stone. His mind raced. He had no plan, no clear path, only the knowledge that if he left her, she would die. If he kept her, the clan would hunt him to the edge of the galaxy. He lowered his head and whispered, I didn't ask for this. The girl's small hands curled into fists. Neither did I, she replied firmly, but the law does not care. My words cannot be taken back, I declared. I chose you. If you refuse me, they will destroy me. The human looked into her eyes. They were not just the eyes of a child bound by tradition. They carried a storm of desperation, pride, and hope. He could see it, the weight of a life decided too soon. He exhaled slowly. You keep saying it's the law. Tell me why it's so important to them. Why do they cling to it like it's life itself? The girl sat on a broken stone, her voice quiet but steady. Our people are dying. Few are born each cycle. Our bodies only allow us to mate once in a rare season. Without the right, there is no bond. Without the bond, there are no children, no future. That is why they enforce it with death. To them, it is survival. Her words sank into him like iron weights. He rubbed a hand over his face. His chest ached with conflict. He wanted to believe it was none of his concern, yet he could not erase the memory of her voice in the market, trembling but proud. I can mate now. The girl leaned closer, her eyes shining in the faint starlight. But humans, you are different. You are always fertile. Your kind is never bound to seasons. That is why they envy you. That is why they fear you. That is why I chose you. The human stiffened. Her words cut deep. They carried both truth and danger. He had never thought of his kind in that way before. To her people, he was not just a stranger. He was hope. Silence stretched between them. The night seemed to grow colder. The girl's voice cracked as she whispered, Do you hate me now for dragging you into this? The human shook his head slowly, his voice low but steady. No, I don't hate you, but I have to decide. Do I walk away and let you die, or do I accept you and make your fight my own? The girl's small hand reached for his again. Her touch was trembling but warm. Please, she whispered. I don't ask for love, I only ask for life. Let me live, that is all. The human closed his eyes. His thoughts were a storm. He remembered battles he had fought, comrades he had lost, enemies he had killed. None of it weighed as heavily as the choice before him now. Finally, he opened his eyes, his gaze steady on the girl. I don't know what the future holds, he said slowly, but I won't let them take you. If I must fight, I'll fight. If I must run, I'll run, but I will not leave you to die. The girl's lips trembled, tears welled in her eyes, but this time they were not of sorrow, they were of relief. She pressed her forehead to his arm and whispered, Then I am not alone anymore. The human tightened his grip on his knife, his eyes scanning the horizon. He had made his decision. Whatever came next, he would face it, for her, for himself, for the bond that had already begun. Above them, the stars burned brighter, as if they bore witness to his choice. The human and the tiny alien girl moved through the night in silence. The city lights were far behind them now, only shadows and ruins surrounded their path. The girl's small steps tried to match his longer strides. Her hand never left his. For a moment, the air was calm, but the human knew it was only the calm before the storm. He had made his decision. He would not abandon her. That meant the clan would never stop hunting them. The girl's golden eyes darted nervously. She whispered, They will come again. They will not forgive. My clan is patient, but they are also merciless. The human nodded, his jaw tight. He knew she was right. They could not simply run forever. Sooner or later the clan would strike with precision, and when they did, he had to be ready. As if the stars had heard their thoughts, movement stirred around them. A faint glow lit the ruins. The human's eyes narrowed. Dozens of figures emerged from the shadows, armored enforcers with silver markings gleaming in the moonlight. The girl gasped, pulling closer to him. "No, it's a trap," she whispered. Her voice cracked with fear. The enforcers formed a circle, their weapons glowing with energy. Their leader stepped forward, a tall figure with eyes like molten fire. His voice was thunder. "Human, you have stolen what is ours. You defy our law. Tonight, you will choose or you will die." The girl's body trembled. She clung to the human's coat, whispering, "They will force you. They will not let us leave." The human tightened his grip on his knife. His heart pounded, but his voice was steady. "If it's a choice between me and her, you'll have to go through me first." The crowd of enforcers laughed darkly. Their leader raised his staff. The ground beneath them lit up. Strange glowing lines spread like veins through the earth. A trap woven into the ruins. The human's boots slid as the ground pulsed. Wow. With alien energy. The circle trapped them inside. He could feel the hum of power rising. The girl gasped, her golden eyes wide. It is the circle of judgment. Once it begins, no one can leave until the decision is made. The enforcer leader's voice thundered again. "Human, the law demands your answer. Accept the bond and claim her, or refuse and watch her die before your eyes." The human's chest burned with fury. He glanced at the girl. Her tiny body shook, but her chin was lifted with fragile pride. She whispered, "If you refuse, at least fight for me. Do not let them laugh as I fall." The human's throat tightened. He had fought armies. He had faced death before. But this was different. This was one life tied to his choice. One life that trusted him completely. The enforcers stepped closer, their weapons raised. The girl's breathing quickened. "They won't wait much longer," she whispered. "Please, decide." The human's mind raced. If he said yes, his life would never be his own again. If he said no, she would be executed in front of him. He could not accept either. Then an idea sparked in his mind. He raised his voice, steady and defiant. "I do not follow your laws. I do not bow to your circle. If you want me, then fight me. If you want her, you'll have to take her over my dead body." The enforcers hissed in anger. The leader slammed his staff, and the circle blazed with energy. The trap turned into a battlefield. The girl gasped and held his arm tightly. Her voice broke. "You are mad. They will kill you." The human gave a faint smile. "Maybe, but I won't let them kill you." The enforcers surged forward, weapons crackled, the ruins shook with battle cries. The human braced himself, his knife glowing faintly in the dark, his heart steady, his decision already made. The girl's golden eyes filled with tears as she whispered, "Then you truly are mine, and thou, then." Each trap of the clan became the beginning of war. The circle of light burned around them, glowing symbols etched into the ground pulsed like a living heart. The human stood tall, his knife steady in his hand. The tiny alien girl clung to his side, her golden eyes wide. Her people's law had cornered them. There was no escape, only choice. The leader of the enforcers raised his staff. His voice thundered through the ruins. By the right of bonding, the human must decide, accept the girl and honor the law, or refuse and watch her die. The crowd of armored warriors tightened their circle. Their glowing eyes burned with hunger. They wanted blood. They wanted justice. They wanted to see if the human would bow or fight. The girl's small body trembled. Her lips pressed together. She tried to look brave, but the fear in her eyes betrayed her. She whispered softly to him, "If you refuse, do it quickly. Don't let them see me beg." The human's throat tightened. He looked down at her, at the fragile figure who had chosen him. Not for power, not for gain, but because he had simply seen her. She had no one else. She had placed her life in his hands. He clenched his jaw. His voice rang out steady and sharp. "I don't accept your law. I don't accept your circle, but I will not abandon her. If you want to take her, you'll have to kill me first." The enforcers growled in unison. The leader's eyes narrowed. "Then you choose battle. So be it." The circle flared. Energy surged upward, wrapping them in a dome of shimmering light. The trial of bonding had begun. The girl gasped, "No, this is worse. This is the trial. If you survive, the bond is sealed. If you fall, I die with you." The human tightened his grip on the knife. His heart pounded. He had walked into traps before, but never one like this. A trial bound not by steel, but by tradition older than the stars. 3 enforcers stepped forward, their weapons blazing with energy. And they attacked together. Their strikes came fast and merciless. The human ducked, dodged, and countered. His blade sparked as it clashed against alien steel. His body moved with instinct, every motion fueled by survival. The girl pressed against the glowing barrier, her small hands trembling. She cried out, "Be careful! Don't let them surround you!" The human's chest burned as he fought, his muscles screamed, sweat dripped into his eyes, but he did not stop. With one swift move, he slashed across an enforcer's armor. Sparks exploded. The alien stumbled back with a roar, but the trial was not over. More warriors stepped into the circle. Their leader's voice echoed like thunder. The bond must be tested by fire. If he is truly worthy, he will endure. If not, both will perish. The girl fell to her knees, tears streaking her face. She whispered to herself, "Please, stars, don't take him from me." The human fought on. His knife cut through air and metal. His fists struck when his blade could not. Every blow was answered by another. His body bled, but his spirit burned. He was not only fighting for himself now, he was fighting for her. Finally, the last enforcer fell, his weapon shattering against the stone. The dome of energy flickered, the circle dimmed, silence filled the ruins. The human stood panting, blood dripping from his arm, his knife trembling in his hand. The girl rushed to him, her golden eyes wide with awe. You survived. That means the bond is sealed." The leader of the enforcers lowered his staff slowly. His eyes burned with rage and disbelief. "Impossible! A human cannot endure the trial, yet he has. The law has spoken. The bond is real." The crowd erupted in shock. Some roared in anger, others bowed their heads in respect. The girl pressed her forehead to the human's chest, whispering, "You are mine now, and I am yours." The human's heart pounded. He had not chosen the law, but the law had chosen him, and in that moment, under the burning stars, the trial of bonding was complete. The night was heavy with silence. The glowing circle faded into the ground, leaving only broken stone and the smell of burned air. The human stood in the center, his chest rising and falling with each rough breath. His knife dripped with sparks from the final clash. His body was bruised, cut, and weary. Beside him, the tiny alien girl pressed against his side, her golden eyes wide with awe and disbelief. She whispered softly, "You survived. No outsider has ever survived the trial. The law has no choice now. The bond is real." Around them, the enforcers stood frozen. Their glowing eyes flickered with confusion. Some looked angry, their claws tight around their weapons. Others lowered their heads, bound by tradition they could not deny. The leader stepped forward, his staff glowing faintly, his voice deep and sharp. "By the right, the human has endured. The bond cannot be broken. Speak, human. Do you accept her as yours, or do you reject and break the stars themselves?" The human's throat tightened. He looked at the girl, her small frame shaking, her face streaked with dirt and tears. She clung to his coat with trembling hands. Her lips moved, but no words came out. She was waiting for him, trusting him with everything. His heart raced. This was not a battlefield where victory was decided by strength. This was something greater. His answer would echo far beyond this night. It would mark not only his fate, but hers. He closed his eyes for a moment. His memories flashed. Her voice in the market, trembling but proud. "I can mate now." Her desperate whisper in the tunnels. "Please, don't let me die." Her fragile pride, her golden eyes, her courage in the face of death. The human opened his eyes and spoke, his voice steady, carrying through the ruins. "I did not ask for your law. I did not ask for this bond. But I will not abandon her. She chose me, and I choose her. Whatever comes, I stand with her." The girl gasped. Her hands flew to her mouth, tears rolled down her cheeks, but her smile shone through. She whispered, You chose me." Her voice broke with joy and disbelief. The crowd erupted. Some enforcers roared in fury, unwilling to accept a human bound by their sacred right. Others bowed their heads in silence, respecting the unbreakable law. The leader's eyes burned like fire as he struck his staff into the ground. The sound echoed like thunder. "So it is spoken, so it is sealed, the bond is yours. But know this, human, you have not only taken her, you have taken her enemies, her burdens, her fate. You cannot escape what follows." The human's jaw tightened, his gaze unwavering. "Then let it come." The girl clung to him, her small body trembling. She whispered, You are not afraid? He looked down at her, his voice low. I am afraid, but fear does not decide my choices. You do. Her golden eyes glistened. She pressed her forehead against his arm, whispering, Then I am safe. As long as you are with me, I am safe. The enforcers stepped back slowly. The circle of warriors parted, making a path through the ruins. Their leader's voice carried cold warning. Go now, but remember you walk with her life, and her life is tied to war. The clan will never forgive. The galaxy will never forget. The human nodded once, pulling the girl close. Together they stepped forward, past the glowing eyes, past the broken ruins, into the uncertain night. Behind them, whispers followed, whispers of fear, whispers of anger, whispers of something new. The bond between human and alien had been sealed. The stars themselves seemed to tremble at what it meant. And for the first time, the human knew. His answer had changed everything. The ruins grew quiet as the human and the tiny alien girl walked out of the circle. The enforcer's eyes followed them, but none dared to strike. The law had spoken. The bond was sealed, and even the most merciless could not break it. The girl's hand was small in his, but her grip was steady now. She no longer trembled with fear. She walked beside him with her chin lifted. Her golden eyes glowed faintly in the moonlight. For the first time since her bold declaration, she felt more than fear. She felt pride. They moved through the broken streets, past shadows and cracked stone. The night wind carried whispers of change. The human glanced down at her, his voice low. Do you understand what this means? You are bound to me now. Your people will never forgive. Your clan will see us as traitors. The girl's lips curved into the faintest smile. Then let them. I was already nothing to them. But now I am something, because you chose me. Her words struck deep into him. The human's chest tightened. He had fought wars, carried scars, and seen countless battles. Yet this small girl's voice carried more weight than any blade he had ever faced. They stopped at the edge of the ruins, where the stones gave way to open land. The stars stretched above, endless and cold. The human tightened his grip on his knife, scanning the horizon. We cannot stay here. They will hunt us. Others will come. The girl nodded. Yes, they will come. But we will be ready, together. Her golden eyes locked on his, steady and unshaken. The human almost laughed at the strangeness of it. Such determination in a body so small. She was fragile, yet fierce. Weak, yet unyielding. Perhaps that was why he could not walk away. Distant roars echoed in the night. The clan's fury was far from over, but the human did not flinch. He pulled his coat tighter around the girl, shielding her from the cold. Rest well. How you can, he said softly. Tomorrow we fight again. The girl leaned against him, her voice tired but warm. I will rest, because now I know I am not alone. For a moment, silence stretched between them. A silence not of fear, but of something new. Trust. The human stared at the stars above. He had never believed in destiny, never believed the universe cared for one man's path. Yet tonight, with the girl at his side, he wondered if fate had played its hand. Behind them, the ruins still glowed faintly with the circle's dying light. The enforcers had withdrawn, but their eyes would never stop watching. The clan would strike again, perhaps with armies, perhaps with assassins. The galaxy itself might turn against them, but the bond was real, and the bond was unbreakable. The girl whispered suddenly, her voice fragile but clear. You did not just save me. You changed me. I was ready to die, but now I want to live. I want to see the stars not as prisons, but as roads. The human's lips curved into a faint smile. Then we'll walk those roads together. Her eyes widened, and for the first time she let out a small laugh, soft and light. It echoed through the empty night like a spark of life in the darkness. The human squeezed her hand, his heart steady, his mind sharp. He had made his decision, and there was no turning back. The tiny alien girl had declared herself in the market, mocked by all, rejected by her own. But now she was his, not by law alone, but by choice. The stars above burned brighter, as if bearing witness to a new story written against the darkness. The human and the alien girl stepped forward together, not as prey, not as fugitives, but as bonded souls, ready to face whatever the galaxy dared to throw at them. And so began the new bond, fragile as a whisper, strong as the stars themselves.